out there as well. However, again, it just comes down to you're introducing these foreign substances in there. And if someone has even a slight immune compromised system, then it can trigger response after response after response. It'll just like pneumonia. You typically don't die from the actual initial contamination of the infection. It's all the complications that arise from it. And so one thing can lead to another, to another, to another. Yes, you have your vape, you've inhaled it, you start getting small, blisters, little lesions on your lungs. Pretty soon you keep doing it. And, if you ingest enough contaminated product, such as, some of the black market stuff, yeah. And one good dose of cyanide, we know what happens with that.
Yeah, well, it's poison. As is glyphosate, which is that in itself is another rabbit hole we could go down. But suffice it to say that glyphosate has been linked to cancer, and it's been linked to autism, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I might have read somewhere that it's also linked to like Crohn's and some other autoimmune conditions. But don't hold me to that one. I'm not sure, and I couldn't cite it right now off the top of my head. But it seems to me I've read this. And, glyphosate is basically the main ingredient of Roundup. And as most people know, GMOs are Roundup ready, meaning that they're drawing their nutrients from soil that is laden with glyphosate in the Roundup product that they use to kill the weeds around it. So, this is a major, major problem that our government has just failed to regulate. In fact, they have the foxes guarding the hen house because a lot of Monsanto lobbyists or former executives are actually monitoring and regulating the agricultural industry right now, which is another whole kettle of fish, another rabbit hole. But it's such a miracle medicine when it comes to helping people with autoimmune conditions. So to have contaminated...
Not just autoimmune, but many, many other ones. It is a miracle plant.
Yeah, well, our bodies are equipped to process it, and our bodies actually need it, which is what a lot of recent research is showing. But what I'm getting at is that here you've got this miracle medicine that can address all of these conditions that have become more and more common in our population over the last 20, 30 years due to contaminated agriculture and lifestyle problems. Contaminants of everyday life, from the air we breathe to the water we drink. And yet, contaminating that medicine with the very chemicals that are causing some of these problems just seems like a circular, it's a spiral. And so nipping this problem in the bud through this industry and raising awareness through this industry about this problem, one can only hope that this might cause a cascade effect in getting people to start questioning the agriculture and the water and the lack of regulation in our air quality control on so many levels. The contaminants that go into our water supply just from the runoff on farms, from the glyphosate that's in our rivers. So, I think that you guys have opened up Pandora's box.
And the thing is, what's really, really going on here as well is the cannabis industry and the hemp industry, because as you know, these plants are, especially hemp, is able to remediate soil. We can remediate these toxic soils with hemp. However, these industries have the potential to create a whole new standard, to create a whole new awareness, to really make a change in what and how things have been done.
You know what? You just encapsulated what I was trying to say a moment ago just beautifully. I mean, and I've talked about this a lot on this show, that the cannabis industry does have this opportunity to set new standards and to create a healthier way of doing just about everything in terms of agriculture. And you're right, it's a remedial medium. Hemp is, not only is it a great plant for sequestering carbon, pulling it out of the atmosphere and restoring it back to the soil where it belongs, but yes, it does remediate by pulling in a lot of the contaminants that are in the soil. And the wonderful thing about hemp is that the harvests that were remediating soil can be used for industrial purposes, so that it's not something that's being consumed by patients or used as a food source. It can go into hempcrete, and it can go into making plastics. And, there's still going to be the problem of carbon emissions in that manufacturing process, especially if the plant has absorbed a lot of these toxins. But it's still less toxic than processing fossil fuels for making toilet paper and plastic.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I love to tell people, you do ask them, you do realize that our Constitution was written on hemp paper.
Yeah, the first draft of it absolutely was. And Declaration of Independence and just about everything else. Although the quality of paper, they wound up putting it on regular parchment, the final in the Smithsonian. But all newspapers were made of hemp. In fact, all paper products that were consumables were made of hemp. Textiles, the very first Levi's, and
rope, sails, you name it, clothing, all of it.
Yeah. In fact, canvas actually came from the word cannabis originally. A lot of people just don't know this, and even like the first Bible was that still exists today and is in readable condition was printed on hemp. And it's thousands of years old. They've got these satchels and mummies that have hemp. That are wrapped in hemp, and you've got 4,000 years ago, a satchel from a medicine man contained hemp seeds. So it's pretty interesting, the history that goes back millennia. But we have an opportunity here with this information that you have drummed up. And I actually love the acronym STDs because, when you hear that, sexually transmitted diseases, but with the reproduction of plants, this is a problem that we can't avoid. Like you said, it's awesome. I mean, kudos to both of you.
Are substrate transmitted. And that's exactly what it is. It gets your attention, and then you start wondering, what?
Yeah.
Look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
We use the acronym STDs to humanize this problem that's happening with agriculture and connect it to the human body. Plants have an immune system just as humans have an immune system. And if the immune system becomes impacted and you end up with a sickly plant, same thing. The way to bring it back to health is pretty much doing the same step that you would do for yourself. So we connected it with humanizing this issue. So it gives you a chuckle when you talk about plant STDs, but it really does exist, and we're talking about the substrate.
Yeah. And the technical definition of substrate, just in case people don't know, is?
It's a soilless material used to grow agriculture.
Very simply put. I love it. Yeah. Well, I will be putting this report on our website and directing people to yours so that they can sign up to get the COA, as you were talking about, of the different substrates. And then of the companies or the products that you actually had tested. You said you tested 5 of them, correct?
Right.
Are you publishing the names of those, or is that something that you want to keep close to the vest?
No, we have actually published all of the names of the companies that were tested. And those are located on plantstds.com. We're not producing a smear campaign. That is not why we produce this report. That is not why we produce this public service announcement. We're here to let anybody know if you've used those brands, please contact us and we will provide that analysis to you. If you're a legitimate grower, if you do have vested interest in agriculture, we're happy to share the information. We just don't want to put it out there publicly and have this massive backlash that we've been seeing with the vape industry, because not all vape manufacturers are going down that questionable path. A lot of them are very above board. So we really wanted to protect the information, yet provide it to those that really, truly need it.
And the list actually also includes, the good guys as well. So it's not just, it's the full list of everyone. So the good guys are on there as well.
So we have made that available on plantstds.com.
Yeah. Well, it's such valuable information. And again, I mean, congratulations for pulling this together. It's an incredible report, and we'll make it available to everyone that's listening. So is there anything else that you'd like us to let our audiences know about either the work that you're doing or what they should look for?
Always ask for the COA, the Certificate of Analysis. Start requesting it for your substrates that you're growing in your growing mediums.
Good advice. Good advice. So this is something that we'll definitely be following up on to just get more information out there. I'll make sure that it gets out on the Growers Network and make sure that people have access to it. We'll put it out on our social media as well, because this really is just so important, especially for people who are immunocompromised. They just need to know where their medicine is coming from. End of story. And also they should know where their food is coming from as well. But do you foresee that in the future that we could actually have legislation passed to ensure that people growing ordinary food, not just cannabis, but food in general, is not contaminated?
I would hope so. I literally would hope so, because if it was so simple for me to go to the garden center at Home Depot and buy this material to grow seeds in and it produced mold, then other people that may be wanting to grow their own produce are going to run into the same issue. So we've seen this massive, recall on produce from Listeria. If these are organic brands that are being recalled, where's the quality control there?
Yeah, massive problem.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you for bringing all of this to our attention. And I mean, I'm grateful that you reached out to me about this, Denise, because it is so important, and I think that people really do need to know. But really so appreciate your insights, and this is great information. And so I guess the moral to the story is just be aware, do your homework. For the growers out there, make sure that you're testing everything before you plant your seeds. And for the people manufacturing medicine out of cannabis, just make sure you know where they're sourcing their planting materials. And that's the lesson of the day, I guess.
It is. Thank you for having us.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Denise, thank you as well. This has just been really informative, and I really appreciate the information that you've put forth here. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just let us know.
I certainly will. So once again, it is time to bring yet another show to a close. I'd like to personally thank my guests, Denise Mahaffey and Jessica Chandler, for sharing their insights and knowledge with us today. If you'd like to learn more about the work they're doing, please visit us online at thecannabisreporter.com. Click Podcast to find today's episode, and there you will find their bios along with information about plant STDs and a link to their website.